The crystalline doors of James Chun's repair shop hissed open, admitting a gust of Proxima Station's recycled air and an unexpected visitor. Aliana ducked through the doorway, her iridescent scales catching the fluorescent light as she maneuvered her massive frame into the cramped workshop. Behind her, suspended on an anti-gravity stretcher, floated an enormous albino dragon whose once magnificent wings now hung limp and dull. "Please," Aliana's voice resonated through the universal translator, tinged with desperation. "The Valkyrie physicians have given up. They say her biocircuits are too degraded, that her fusion heart is beyond repair. But I heard humans can fix anything." James set down his plasma wrench and approached the stretcher, his weathered hands already reaching for his diagnostic scanner. The albino dragon, Aliana's mother, he presumed was a marvel of bioengineering, a living fusion of organic tissue and cybernetic enhancement that predated human spaceflight by millennia. Her scales, pure white, like fresh snow, flickered with dying nanocircuits beneath the surface. "How old is she?" James asked, running the scanner along the dragon's massive flank. 7,243 cycles, Aliana whispered. "She survived the burning wars, the collapse of the Valkyrie Empire, and the Great Silence. She taught me to fly between the stars, to navigate the quantum foam, to sing the old songs. And now," her voice cracked, "now she's dying because I can't afford the gene therapy treatments." James studied his scanner's readout, his brow furrowing. The dragon systems were a labyrinth of impossible complexity, organic neural networks interfacing with quantum processors, biological fusion reactors powering anti-gravity organs, cellular structures that shouldn't exist according to human physics. Any other mechanic in the sector would have turned them away immediately. But James Chen hadn't survived. 40 years fixing everything from Krolan battleships to Terran colony harvesters by knowing when to quit. Her fusion heart's not dying, James said finally. "It's starving. See these bioconduits?" He pointed to fading lines beneath the dragon's scales. "They're clogged with radiation plaque. Common problem with old The Valkyrie always over-engineered their nutrient delivery systems." Aliana's eyes widened. "But the physicians said the physicians wanted to sell you expensive treatments you don't need." James rolled up his sleeves. "Trust me, I've seen this before. Different species, same problem. Life finds similar solutions across the galaxy, and so do mechanical failures." He disappeared into his supply room and emerged with an armful of seemingly random items. Industrial cleaning solution, a surgical laser array, nutrient paste designed for Terran bioships, and something that looked suspiciously like a modified coffee maker. "You're going to fix her with ... those." Aliana's translator struggled to convey her skepticism. "Watch and learn," James grinned. For the next 6 hours, James worked with the focused intensity that had made him legendary among the station's desperate and downtrodden. He flushed the dragon's bioconduits with diluted cleaning solution, carefully calibrating the pH levels to match her alien physiology. He used the surgical lasers to remove centuries of accumulated plaque, his hands steady despite the delicate nature of the work. The modified coffee maker, it turned out, was a homemade dialysis machine he'd rigged to filter and purify biological fluids. Aliana watched in silent amazement as this supposedly primitive species, that had only discovered faster than light travel 3 generations ago, miracles with spare parts and improvised tools. He spoke to the dragon mother in soothing tones, explaining each step as if she could understand, treating her not as a broken machine but as a living being worthy of dignity and care. "The thing about humans," James said as he worked, "is that we had to learn to fix everything ourselves. We didn't have ancient knowledge or bioengineering from the dawn of civilization. We had duct tape and determination." He chuckled. "When you grow up poor on Earth or the colony worlds, you learn that everything can be repaired, rebuilt, or repurposed. You just have to be creative enough." As the 8th hour approached, James injected the final dose of enriched nutrient paste into the dragon's restored bioconduits. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the albino dragon's scales began to glow. It started as a faint luminescence, barely visible in the workshop's harsh lighting, but it grew steadily brighter, the nanocircuits beneath her skin awakening one by one like stars emerging at dusk. Her wings trembled, then stretched, filling the workshop with their magnificent span. Her eyes, ancient, wise, and impossibly deep, opened for the first time in weeks. Aliana gasped, tears streaming down her scaled cheeks. The dragon mother's voice filled the workshop, bypassing the translator entirely, speaking directly to their minds in the old language of the "I dreamed I was dying. I dreamed the universe was growing cold. But then I felt warmth, such warmth, and heard a voice I did not know, speaking words of hope. She turned her massive head to regard James, who stood covered in biofluids and grease, his improvised tools scattered around him. "You are human." "Yes, ma'am," James said simply. "They said humans were weak, that they were newcomers, barely worthy of notice." The dragon's mental voice carried amusement. "But I have lived 7,000 years, and I know this truth. The greatest strength is not in ancient power or inherited knowledge. It is in the refusal to surrender, in the determination to mend what is broken, in the audacity to hope when all seems lost." She lowered her head, touching her snout gently to James's forehead. "Thank you, child of Earth. You have given me more years to fly with my daughter, to see the stars turn, to sing the old songs one more time. I will tell others of this day when a human mechanic with simple tools and a generous heart achieved what the Empire's greatest physicians could not." Aliana embraced James, her gratitude beyond words. When she finally pulled away, she placed a small data crystal in his oil-stained palm. "Navigation charts," she explained. "Two systems even the Valkyrie have forgotten. Trade routes, resource worlds, ancient caches of knowledge. It's all I have to offer." "But your mum's smile was payment enough," James interrupted, waving away the crystal. "But I'll take it anyway. Can't hurt to know where the good salvage is." He winked, as Aliana and her mother departed, the albino dragon's scales illuminating the station's docking bay like a small sun. James returned to his workshop. He had 3 more impossible repairs scheduled for tomorrow, and somewhere in the back, a Krolan freighter captain was still waiting for her engine manifold. Just another day in James Chen's shop, where humans proved that sometimes the greatest technology wasn't about sophistication or power, it was about refusing to let anyone face the darkness alone.